Well, hello there, bookish besties. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Ashley. If this is the first time you're seeing me, hi, welcome. If you're anything like me, you have just finished Onyx Storm and now you are just looking for a place to just yap about it. You have thoughts, you have opinions, you have theories. But before we go into a bunch of Onyx Storm theories, first we need to go back to see what theories we did have after reading Iron Flame and see what did we get right, what did we get way wrong, and what still could be true. So in this video, that is exactly what we're doing. We're going to go back into my wild Empyrean theories after finishing Iron Flame, and let's analyze what did we get right, what did we get very, very wrong, and what could still be true. So let's go ahead and get all comfy, grab your favorite little bevy, and let's get started. Alright guys, we're going to watch this video together and most likely cringe together.
From what we're told, Nolan died and Taryn is now open to Bond. Bond's Violet. Violet will be his last rider. But what if Nolan didn't die? Hear me out. Every time that Taryn talks about Nolan, Nolan is lost. Very rarely does it say that Nolan died. Actually, I don't think Taryn ever says that he's died. He just says that he's lost. Not necessarily that he's missing, but just he's not around anymore because Nolan turned Venin. That's right. That is my theory, is that Nolan didn't die. He simply started channeling through the ground and he turned Venin.
Okay, the theory that Nolan didn't die, he simply channeled through the ground and turned Venin. Honestly, I still think this is a reality. Now, I no longer necessarily think he's the big sage that starts with a B that Xaden's fighting. Names escape me. There's so many names to keep track of. I don't think it's the sage that Xaden is in contact with and fighting necessarily, but I think Nolan is Venin. I also think that him and Brennan are lovers. I think there's something there. There was a note about Brennan having that patch of gray on his neck. That's a very intimate touch. And how did Brennan get it? Almost like a touch of a lover, perhaps? Let's keep going.
Not only did he turn Venin, but he is the sage. The same sage that Violet keeps seeing in all of her dreams. The sage that's kind of the mastermind of the Venin that we see in the current series today. So some evidence behind it is that Violet has dreams about this sage. This sage is able to work her way into her mind. How else would he be able to do that unless he was bonded to the same dragon?
So, Violet having dreams about the sage, we now know that those were actually Xaden's dreams. And we also know that Violet, that is her second signet. Do you guys feel seen? I feel seen.
He's also, the sage, is able to get into Xaden's mind. We see that Xaden had a dream of the sage. Again, how else would he be able to do that unless he was connected through Violet's bond to Taryn? Just saying, it's a little fishy. It's a little fishy.
No, that was wrong. That was very wrong. We were off the mark on that one, guys. Let's keep going.
Also, I am fully on the train that Nolan and Brennan were a lot more than friends, and they were potentially lovers. There's not too much evidence on this theory besides all of my hopes and dreams, but I do have more theories about Brennan that we'll get into later in this video.
All of my hopes and dreams, still, there's something with Nolan and Brennan that we haven't discovered yet. Still, all my hopes and dreams are on that theory.
Okay, second theory, more of a question, is what is Violet's second signet? There are so many theories around what it could be. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think Violet's second signet is?
Before we even get started, all of them are wrong. Every single one of these theories are wrong. She's a dream wielder. She's not any of this. I think we can just skip ahead. I was so wrong.
I think that there are three main possibilities. If any of these three are correct, I will consider myself right. This is a win for me if any of these three are correct. So first and foremost is the truth sayer. We've seen a little bit of this in Iron Flame. I need to know why Miss Rebecca has a framed napkin of Violet Sorrengail for truth. It doesn't make any sense. I digress.
Okay, but Rebecca, can you please tell me why? Why Sorrengail for Truth is framed? Thank you.
We've seen a truthsayer before, specifically in the chapter where Violet gets tortured, for lack of better words. So what's interesting is when we see this truthsayer's power, it's not necessarily pulling the truth from somebody, but it's the ability to tell when someone is not telling the truth. Now, Rebecca did say that we have seen Violet use her signet in Iron Flame, and based on how the truthsayer and how they use their signet, I didn't see anything remotely close to that from Violet's perspective in a truthsayer type of signet. Maybe it's a different version of a truthsayer, which is another one of my theories I will get to. So if it's not truthsayer, maybe she's a distance wielder.
Garrick. Garrick is a distance wielder, which is really funny because if you remember in books 1 and book 2, there was a lot of conversation around Garrick always being late to everything. And they do say that your signets come to be with something that you need at the time. So I guess Garrick really needed to be on time to things. So his signet manifested as distance wheeling so he can just pop there. Anyway, it's not Violet. We can continue.
Been around before, but it's been, quote, centuries since anyone's seen one. Now, isn't that a coincidence that Andarna has also been waiting to hatch for about 600 years, aka centuries? So wouldn't it make sense that Andarna's breed of dragon specializes in distance wielding? Keep in mind that Andarna's power is freezing time. If you're familiar with the concept of the Flash from DC Comics, then the Flash is able to run so fast he not only stops time, but he can go back in time. So to me, distance wielding, yes, jumping from place to place, you're moving super quick, super fast, you're moving almost through time. Time is stopped while you're jumping from place to place. These could be connected.
I mean, I make valid points. I build a really good case argument for distance wielding. You have to admit that. I wasn't right about the person, but it's a great argument. Let's see what the last one is.
We also see Violet training not only to get stronger in Iron Flame, but to get faster. She has a need to be faster, not only to survive, but so her friends can survive. And we know that signets fulfill a need. They're that core of what that person wants and needs at the time, distance wielding. We've seen a couple of examples in Iron Flame where she potentially might have distance wielded. Maybe. The first example is when Xaden is injured in the rebellion attack in Samara. Violet leaves class abruptly because she knows that he's injured. Terran freaks out because Sigel might be injured, so they hop up and they fly to Samara, which is a 12-hour journey. Terran and Violet make that journey in only 8 hours. Now, maybe that's adrenaline, maybe they're just moving super speedy, I don't know. All right, and then my last theory on what Violet's second signet could be is compelling, compulsion, or some variant of influencing over others. Starting out with in Iron Flame, Xaden is so specific on Violet to ask the right questions. He's only going to tell her the truth if she's asking the right questions of what she actually wants to know. Now, Xaden is very, very known for not telling the whole truth, just telling parts of the truth. So, Violet has to ask the right questions. But what if she has to ask the right questions to compel him to tell him the right answers and the answers that she specifically wants to hear? Her team also are very trustworthy of Violet whenever she has this we gotta go whim, if you will. First scene when Violet tells them, like, hey, this is what's going on. Then in our reel, I'm seeking out supplies because Griffin riders are trying to, survive themselves. And her team is just like, yeah, sounds good. How can we help? Interesting that no one really kind of thought that. But the biggest evidence of this to me was in the end of the book when Violet had this epiphany of we have to go to Batskaya. We gotta get out of here. That's where the battle's gonna happen. No one questioned her. Really. Her squad didn't, at least. They were like, yeah, when Violet gets that look in her eye, we just go for it, we just go. Is that look an act of influence or compulsion that is making people do what Violet wants them to do? It's just a little fishy to me. Another example that could be used to persuade the argument of compulsion is when Violet tells Xaden that he has to survive when they split ways at the Battle of Baskaya. And because Xaden has to survive, Violet told him to, he is compelled to survive, he then goes to the ground as a source for his magic, and he becomes Venin because he knew that is the only way he was going to survive that battle.
Okay, I built a solid defense, a very solid defense, and I'm not 100% wrong because she is a type of intensic. Dream walking, dream wielding is a type of intensic. It just wasn't compulsion. So maybe like half credit. If like I'm being graded, can I get half credit for Violet's second signet? Even though I had 3 theories and none of them were right. But to be fair, did anyone call dream walking? Seriously, like if you called it, please let me know in the comments below. In all of my research, everything that I've seen, no one called dream walking. We all called truthsayer. We all called potentially distance wielding, time warping or management. Time management, I wish I had that signet. But none of us called dream walking. So if you did, let me know. All right, let's keep going.
TikTok theories that I've been collecting that I definitely agree with and want to expand a little bit upon. Starting off strong with Auric Greycastle, could his blue Daggertail mate with Andarna, thus connecting Violet, Auric, and Xaden's minds? Can you just imagine the chaos and the tension if Auric joined in the little mind meddlingness?
Couple things here. Number one, Rebecca Yarros herself confirmed that Andarna will not be mating with anyone because she's a child. Fair, valid, she is a child. So it's most likely not going to happen. And I think that Auric and Xaden were in cahoots the majority of Onyx Storm. So I don't think that tension was going to work. But there is a theory coming up that I want to talk about.
Along with the Greycastles is Halden, Violet's ex. Hear me out. Halden is Auric's older brother. Halden went into the infantry, that was confirmed in Iron Flame. Violet talks about her exes, and her exes are all in the infantry, that's why we haven't seen any in the Riders' Quadrant. There's a moment in Iron Flame when this is brought up, Xaden quickly diminishes the conversation, Violet's not too keen to talk about it, so they just happily move on. When Xaden announces almost to Violet that, hey, by the way, like, I'm kind of King of Marisha, she does have a step back moment where she's like, I don't know if I'm like ready, fit to be queen and in this position of power. It's a little bit of an extreme reaction, but what if it's because she has already dated the crowned prince of Navarre, so she knows she's not fit to rule. She's already had that pressure put on her, so she knows she doesn't want it. All in all, I really just need to see a jealous Xaden. I need to see him crawling on his knees for Violet after what we went through with Cat and Violet. I want to see Violet explore her options, and I would love to see a flipped jealous ex storyline where Zaddy Xaden is the jealous one, because when he is jealous, that tension is just so good.
What did I tell you? What did I tell you? I was right. I was right. I was right. I was right. I caught that. I remember when I was telling my friends this theory, they looked at me like I was crazy. Like I was cuckoo bananas. And I'm like, no. Halden is her ex. It was set up. How else would she have known Auric in that intimate level of way? And maybe it's because I also, too, became besties with my ex's little brother in high school, so I understood the vibe. It's a weird friend caretaker position, but I called it. I called it. I was right. That is 1 point for me. Are we on 2? Are we on 2 points for Ash? I think we're on 2 points for Ash. This is what it feels like to win. Okay. We can keep going.
Okay, in all seriousness, who is Violet's father? We don't even have a name except Sorengale, and we know that he's a scribe. We also know that he was studying Feathertails, and very ironically, Violet bonded a Feathertail. The first one to really ever do so. So, I think Daddy Zorngale had to have known more than what he lets on. We've pretty much come to terms with the fact that scribes have been hiding the true history for years and years and years, essentially rewriting the narrative to make them look best. So, was Daddy Zorngale part of the problem? Or was he part of the solution trying to fix what the scribes had essentially broken? What secrets did he know? What was he trying to find out?
Okay, I want to touch on this real quick before I tell the story in this video. But, okay, Daddy Sorengale, we have a name. Asher Daxton takes Asher Sorengale. I've got questions on why he takes a Sorengale name instead of using Daxton, but that's fine. We'll get into that in another video. Not partially wrong, and I still want to know more. We still don't know a lot about him. Yes, his research was definitely helpful for Violet and the squad, the quest squad, during their travels, but there's still something there that we still don't know his full intentions, and there's still a lot of mystery around his character. And I really hope we dive more into Asher in the next books.
There's also a scene in Fourth Wing when Violet is walking, it's presentation day. So all of the cadets are walking in, presenting themselves to the dragons, and to make light of the day and the situation, Violet starts telling a story of her childhood. So she's talking about there was a time when they were stationed, I think it was over at the east, and her mom came back with red-rimmed eyes. And her Violet's time was a child, and she was like, ha ha ha, Dad, is she gonna turn into a Venin? Joking it off. What if her mom actually was turned Venin? Her dad then had to do so much research to find a cure, so I think her dad knows how to cure a Venin, or at least what needs to be done to cure a Venin, because by the time that we see Mama Sorengale, her eyes aren't red. So either she's suppressing it, or she's cured.
Okay, so we have seen Theophany, whatever her name is. She is the balance to Lilith Sorengale. So Theophany can wield storm. She is the Venin that can wield storms. And then we see Lilith pop up as the balance to Theophany, which kind of combats this theory. Lilith can't be Venin, but if Lilith is the balance to the Venin, she herself can't be Venin. So might not be right on this, but also I went back and reread that part of Fourth Wing, and instead of like, it's not red rimmed, it's bloodshot eyes. And I think in my mind, I mistook that as like, oh, her eyes are red, not her eyes are just bloodshot. Very different vibes. Asher's not fully in the clear. Just saying.
But along with the idea that Mama Sorengale has been a Venin at some point in her life, I think that is the sickness and illness that she got while she was pregnant with Violet. That is why Violet has, gray hair, because when she was a Venin, she was channeling the literal life of her child into her. Anyway, crazy theories.
Yeah, her gray hair is because she was dedicated to Dune, the goddess of war. It's not because her mom was Venin. That was confirmed. But I would have never have guessed that, because you think I'm remembering all of the gods in those books, in books 1 and book 2? I only knew Malik. Let's get real. All right, let's keep going.
And Darna said that she waited 600 plus years for Violet, specifically for Violet, because Violet had the power and the heart of a writer, but the mind of a scribe. We also theorize that Andarna is going to be the key to defeating the Venin. But what if Andarna is so keen on wanting the mind of a scribe because the head of the Venin, this main sage, was a scribe? There needs to be someone who can think like him in order to defeat him, and I think that is going to be Violet.
I agree with this still. I still stand by it. Now, if Andarna is the key or the Irid dragons in general are the key, I think either one could be it. But I still think that the leader of the Venin was a scribe. And I think it's really telling that in Onyx Storm, we see Venin sneaking into Basgiath dressed as scribes. And I think that's really foreshadowing the fact that there could be even more Venin hidden in plain sight as scribes. Not totally counting off this theory. I think it could still, it still holds weight. It still holds weight.
I do not trust Brennan. I don't know what it is about the brother. There is something off about him. It starts out when we have the first quote from the Book of Brennan. One of them is around not trusting all of your friends, because sometimes your friends turn into your enemies. Brennan, who are you talking about? Are you talking about Nolan, perhaps? Somebody else, perhaps? Who's turning into enemies? Also, the fact that he was able to keep himself a secret for 6 years from his family is just also a big giant red flag. And for the cherry on top is that he has an orange dragon. We've seen orange dragons before. Jack Barlow had one. Barish had one. The dragons are known to be chaotic and untrustworthy. Brennan, that is not good company to keep.
So Rebecca herself has stated, we can trust Brennan. Brennan's not sus. I don't know. That feels like something she would say as a red herring at a tour interview. I still don't trust the orange dragon. She also said that orange dragons are known for being chaotic and unpredictable, not necessarily untrustworthy. They are the ADHD of dragons. And this completely slipped my mind, but Imogen has an orange dragon. That's wild. I still don't trust Brennan. And just like a note, and we can dive into this more in my Onyx Storm theories, but Brennan is to have said to have amber eyes. We also know that Xaden's eyes throughout Onyx Storm went from gold flecked to amber flecked. Strange. And another note is that Brennan's also said to have had his dad's eyes. So his dad's eyes, amber. And then when Violet went to the Isle of Hedotus, she was talking to the head guy there, so many names, head guy there, and she was admiring his indigo, almost purple eyes, and he was admiring her very multicolored. There were shades of blues and greens, and I think at the end of the day, Violet's eyes are hazel with all those different colors in it, and how he should have recognized her eyes because of Asher Daxton, who had come to the Isle. That doesn't sound like amber eyes. If Asher and Brennan had the same eyes. Anyway, food for thought. Also, before I move on, why did Asher only tell Violet to trust Mira and nobody else? Now, it could just be he thought that Brennan was dead. That's fair. That's valid. But what if he wasn't? Anyway, continuing.
We know that Imogen's signet, one of her signets, I think that all of the marked ones have 2 signets. Different theory. Imogen's signet is memory wiping. Yes. There has been times when Imogen has wiped Violet's mind. We don't know them because we're getting the story from Violet's POV. What do you think? Do you think there are any times specifically when Violet has had her memory wipes? I've tried to go back. I can't find it, but I am for sure that it has happened. Rebecca Yarros herself cannot confirm nor deny this. I watched an interview with her and she just sits there like, it's possible. So it's definitely happened. I would love to know your thoughts around this topic. Are there any situations and moments that stick out to you where you're like, she had her mind wiped there?
Okay, so if Violet didn't have her mind wiped before, she has it wiped now. That is 100% confirmed. You're gonna make me cry again. Jeez Louise, just think about that ending. Dear God. Dear God. But now the follow-up question is, did Imogen also wipe Xaden's mind at the end of Onyx Storm? I don't know. And that could have some fun repercussions we'll get into in my Onyx Storm Theories video. But Imogen was able to wipe a full 12 hours from Violet's mind, which is a lot of time. I thought it was just like 15 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe an hour, but no, she can wipe 12 full hours. All right, one last theory, guys. Let's look at it.
The last theory I'm going to end us on today is a little bit unhinged. It's a little bit wild, a little bit out there, so stay with me. But is Violet the mother of dragons? Giving a little Daenerys coded here. But I say this because Andarna is going to be essentially the head of her 7th den, unless we can find the other dragons. But if you look for all the other dragon riders, all of them have somehow been injured or hurt by their own dragon. Burns and cuts and scrapes, but Karen and Andarna have never touched, they've never laid a finger on Violet at all. It's very untraditional for writers to talk to other dragons, but yet Violet's out here talking to all the dragons, and more importantly, they're listening to her. Dragons don't mess with people. They don't listen to people. Humans' rules have no place in the world of dragons, yet here the dragons are listening to Violet and everything she has to say.
Okay, a little unhinged. I don't know if I fully believe that Violet is like the mother of dragons anymore, but I think she's a key component. But along with this theory, there are two thoughts that I have. One is, what if blue dragons are royal dragons? The only two blue dragons that we've seen, Sigale, which is bonded to Xaden, who is a duke, has royal blood in him from Tyrrendor, and Molvik, who is Auric's dragon, and Auric, the prince of Navarre. So there's something here about the blue dragons bonding people with bloodlines. I don't know. I feel like something's there, something's cooking. Also, Sigale truly, and Movik too. Morik? Yeah, Auric's dragon. They don't listen to anybody. Like, they don't really listen to the Empyrean. They've always just been known for being ruthless and doing whatever it is they feel like and not having any repercussions, which sounds a lot like a royal. So there's something there. But I also have a bunch of theories about the Empyrean in general, and I think something is going to happen and we're going to see a twist, because right now we do not know what their agenda is. We are getting everything from Violet's point of view, some from Xaden's, some from Reason, some from Imogen's, but at the end of the day, we are not getting any of the Empyrean, any of the dragons, and it's been known that they're not telling us the full truth. They have been known to lie. So what is it that they're hiding, and what is it that's their ultimate goal and ultimate agenda? I couldn't help but notice that there was a moment when Taran was talking to Violet about his bloodline and his lineage, and he was going on his great stuff, and Violet made a point that he stopped at the Great War with the first dragon to bond a human because then it didn't matter. So essentially he's saying that after that, when dragons bonded humans, they mattered less in the scope of history. Why is that? So why did they bond humans? Because dragons are tying their life to these things that die really easily, honestly. Humans are corrupt, yet the Empyrean are still willingly bonding these humans. There's a bigger agenda going on. I don't know what it is just yet. If you have any thoughts or any ideas, let me know in the comments below. We'll chat. We will talk. All right, and that is it. Going back through my wild Empyrean theories after finishing Iron Flame. Some were a hit, some were a very certified miss, but that's okay. We just got Onyx Storm by Rebecca Yarros. We have 2 more books in this series. No idea when we're going to get them, but you know what? We're going to be on this journey together. And boy, do I have some wild theories for you guys. Some of them more unhinged. Some of them I have no proof, but just all of my hopes and dreams. And I hope you're going to back me up on these as well. But be on the lookout for that video. I appreciate you guys for taking the time to go through a little trip down memory lane with me. Let me know any wild theories that you guys have in the comments below. Did you have any theories after Iron Flame that turned out to be true in Onyx Storm? Let me know that as well. Please share this video with one of your friends who read Onyx Storm and has a bunch of unhinged theories that they cannot not keep to themselves. They have to yap about it. They have to talk about it. We're still in that delicate time where we're trying to make sure we are being very, very spoiler warning before everything. So we want to make sure that our friends have read Onyx Storm before watching this video. Comment, share, like, subscribe. I have so much more bookish content coming your way. And yeah, that's about it on my end. And on that note, you guys, happy reading.